Hey all, welcome back to the channel. Of course it's Monday, that means it's countdown day, and this week, if you're a fan of the channel and you've been around for a while, it's going to be a big week because tomorrow we will do True Review 1000. But let's worry about today first, because this is countdown day, and last week we looked at the top 10 worst Transformers names as voted on by fans all across social media. Some of them I agreed with, some of them I didn't, and some of them I was a little bit baffled by. Well, to kind of balance that out, it only made sense that this time, again as voted on by fans, we look at the top 10 best Transformers names. And I'm going to tell you right now, while everybody thought that number one was going to wildly win, actually, number one is a tie. And it's not the only tie on the list. Without any further ado, let's jump into this week's GotBot Counts Down. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you're at it, my baby, hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course you can hit the join button right here on YouTube at any time and become a channel member. And this is the top 10 best Transformers names as voted on by fans. I am shocked how close the voting was. It was a wild round of voting. I thought that the worst names list was a wild round of voting. This one, again, it's not the most votes we've ever gotten, but it is the most, second most, equivalent most to all over the map. Kind of paired with the worst names. Like, there were a lot of votes for a lot of different characters. The honorable mentions first include Predaking, who almost made the list, but not quite. As a matter of fact, all of the honorable mentions almost made the list. Predaking, Skyfire / Jetfire, those two got counted together. Blitzwing, Sinnertwin. I'm surprised Sinnertwin had such a strong showing. And Erector. Of course, a lot of people, you know, they snicker when they hear that name, but the truth is it refers to, like, building a building, right? Erecting a building or a bridge or whatever. So none of those made the list. None of them did. So who did? Well, you know what we're going to do. We're going to kick things off with number 10 first. And number 10 kicks off in kind of an unexpected fashion for me with this guy. It is none other than the leader of the Decepticons himself, Megatron. The menacing Megatron, the malicious Megatron. It is a powerful sounding name. It's funny. Some people are sick of it. Some people don't think it was ever a good name. But then some people are like, man, as soon as you hear Megatron, you know it's going to be bad. It sounds robotic. Mega sounds big. It's simplistic, but it encapsulates a lot because it's one of those words that sounds foreboding. It sounds like trouble is coming. I can't argue with the voters. Good old Megatron took the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9, we have Soundwave. And I guess it's true. I guess in a lot of cases, Soundwave is indeed superior. Certainly, he's the 9th best name, according to voters, within Transformers. Definitely up there as one of the most iconic. And I mean, Soundwave makes sense. Look at what he does. He uses sound waves to kind of attack his foes. He also turns into a tape player, radio thing, so that would have sound waves. Like, his name is very descriptive of who he is, but it's also descriptive of what he uses in his arsenal. By the way, this, of course, is the Netflix Soundwave. You will notice that his thighs, his button, and the hinges in here are a slightly different shade of gray than his forearms and his feet. That's because this has started to discolor. A lot of people said, oh man, I really wish I had the Netflix Soundwave. He's probably going to turn color on you. I know it hasn't happened to everybody, and his blue is turning. And no, mine's not always in a bunch of heat. We don't get a bunch of heat. We get maybe a month. Then it's pretty temperate, if not cold. No, he is definitely not out in sunlight. It's just the change of the plastic. Never should have been done. If you can get one that doesn't change, cool. I digress. That was just a little bit of a leg rant there, and I do have the little yellow spot down there. Nevertheless, the character himself, an iconic character, one of the best known, best beloved, and best named, Soundwave, took the number 9 slot. So though we move away from Soundwave at number 9, we still sort of stick with sound. In fact, we stick with a particular type of music with jazz. Jazz comes in at number 8, and yeah, I mean, I like Jazz. Classic character, classic name. Been, you know, in a lot of different fiction, but always kind of maintains his basic look. And of course, a lot of people that voted for him said, look, Scatman Crothers had one of the most iconic, recognizable voices of anyone, whether he was, you know, singing or speaking or whatever. You always knew his voice, and you always knew that it was associated with jazz. As for the character himself, cool character. He's always considered to be one of the coolest Autobots. He's always considered to be smooth. He's always considered to be slick. And he has a cool alt mode car. There's a lot of reasons to like Jazz. There's a lot of reasons to like his name. And enough fans felt the same way that old Jazz was able to take the number 8 slot. Okay, are you ready for number 7? Because number 7 was very unexpected to me, and it's this guy. Now you might be saying, what is that ugly, unholy abomination? This is my custom combiner version of Deathsaurus. Not Deathsaurus. People voted for Deathsaurus. And yeah, we obviously need a proper Deathsaurus. There's no doubt about that. But this combiner lad, like, if anybody knows me, they know that I wasn't happy with the stock kind of Combiner Wars Platinum Edition Lyle Kaiser set. And as a matter of fact, up and coming, we're going to have an update to my custom Lyle Kaiser. I changed this guy out. I made a whole new Leozak, a whole new Jaguar. I'm actually changing the Jaguar. We'll see that coming up soon. I'm changing the entire layout of the torso. I have all of the kind of little chest minion partners. But what was I going to do with Deathsaurus? I mean, I could have thrown it in the garbage. I could have thrown him away. But for now, I was like, you know what? It's a version of Deathsaurus. Why not? People who voted for Deathsaurus said a dinosaur, dragon type of mentality went into the naming of it with Saurus. Then you have death, which is pretty foreboding. When you put dinosaur and death together, yeah, it spells trouble. Deathsaurus. Bad dude with a tough name. Although, to be fair, he had a fairly strong showing in the worst names as well, because people were like, Deathsaurus, what a ridiculous name. Either you love it or you hate it, but enough people love it that Deathsaurus was able to take the number 7 slot. Here at number 6, we kind of stick with the combiner motif and kind of the original combiner, right? The first one, the one that everything else followed. And a lot of people argue still the best of the combiners, with, of course, none other than Devastator. I get it. I mean, devastation, destruction, annihilation, all of that is encapsulated in the name Devastator. Not to mention that right from the very beginning, he was considered to be very big, a major threat, very imposing, because the guy's made up of a bunch of heavy-duty construction vehicles. Any construction vehicle by itself would be imposing. You put 6 of them together, you call it Devastator, and he tells you to prepare for extermination and prepare for annihilation and whatnot. Yeah, you're probably going to be afraid. By the way, something just fell over if you heard that. You're probably going to be afraid. You're probably going to be fearful because the name is effective. Enough people love the name Devastator that it was able to take the number 6 slot. Smell it in, breathe it in, because we are at the most coveted of locations, the halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, we have one of the most fearsome Decepticons ever with Overlord. Look, when you hear the name Overlord, again, it's a powerful sounding name. When you find out he's basically a walking arsenal, it's even worse. He had a very prominent position within the Decepticons. He was able to kind of take the Autobots' best and often beat them. Whether we refer back to the version of him from, what was it, Victory, I think he was in? Whether, maybe it was Master Force. Maybe it was both. I can't recall right now. It's warm here today. Whether we refer to him from the comics, whether we refer to him from the like Prime Wars trilogy, whatever. It doesn't matter. Every time Overlord has made an appearance in the fiction, he has been sinister, he has been powerful, he has been almost nigh unbeatable. He has been Lord over all. Hence the name Overlord. Fans know how bad this dude can be. Enough that his powerful name was able to take the number 5 slot. Now, if you followed the countdowns over the last few years, then you should probably be able to guess who comes in at number 4. Because this character has probably appeared in the number 4 slot more than anyone else on any of the lists. Have you guessed it yet? Number 4 is none other than Grimlock. Yeah, I mean, again, Grimlock sounds plodding, but it also sounds big and beefy and burly. There's something about the name Grimlock that makes you think, yeah, you know what? He's probably more of a bruiser and a brute than he is going to be like a librarian, right? It also sounds old. It sounds like a relic, like ancient. And it's the only Dinobot name that doesn't start with an S, which also makes it stand out since it's applied to the leader. There's a lot of reasons to like the name Grimlock, and of all the Dinobots, it's definitely the name that's the most recognized. Besides, who doesn't love Grimlock? Enough fans love him and love his name that he was able to take, as he usually does, the number 4 slot. Now, I mentioned at the very beginning that we were going to have not one, but 2 ties on this list. Well, here at number 3, we have one of those ties, and of course, Fortress Maximus is one of the names, because people said, you think of like a maximum fortress, right? You think of a big, strong, powerful fortress, let alone a battleship, let alone a gigantic Titanic robot, let alone he who would eventually become, if you follow the Japanese fiction, one of the Autobot leaders. Fortress Maximus, I mean, the name is just powerful and regal, but it's also tied with Ultra Magnus. This is my favorite Ultra Magnus by far, the Combiner Wars by far, with the Perfect Effect upgrade kit, as well as the X2 Toys upgrade kit for the lower legs. I don't think I'll ever need another Ultra Magnus, but you know what? I mean, there's nothing wrong with the Siege. There's nothing wrong with the Earthrise if that's your cup of tea. There's nothing wrong with, you know, any of the Legends or even the MP. I would say that the MP Ultra Magnus was the last time that MP was really, truly very, very good. Since then, there's been a lot of issues from what I hear and what I see. I digress. Again, I've digressed a couple of times on this list, hey? Ultra Magnus, again, it sounds like something that would be a leader. It's not a prime, but you know what? Like, it still sounds like, yeah, he would hold an important rank. And of course, if we follow animated, Ultra Magnus is the Autobot leader, and it is the preeminent rank. Whether we're talking about, you know, the character from G1 or RID, or even from animated, Ultra Magnus always has a certain stature and a certain respect among the Autobots, even down so far as Transformers Prime when he led the Wreckers. Even people who didn't like him respected him. Then we have Fortress Maximus. I mean, we all shorten it to Fort Max, it's just easier to say. But, you know, the the Maximus battleship, you know, even if you just take his first name is Fortress, you know? It's a little more powerful than, like, I don't know, Stan or Max or Mike or Dennis. It's a more powerful name than any of ours. Ultra, his first name's Ultra. So, again, he's not just Magnus, he's Ultra Magnus. Fortress Maximus, Ultra Magnus, take your pick. They had the exact same number of votes, and both of these lads took the number 3 slot. We're almost there. We are at number 2, and at number 2, quite obviously, is Omega Supreme. Again, I mean, the name says it all, right? Omega is last. Supreme is like supreme. So it's the last Supreme. It's the last line of defense. It's that last bastion. He needs to be amazingly strong. He needs to be heroic. He needs to be someone who can make a difference to the Autobot cause and a difference on the battlefield. He did it often in G1. He did it most recently in the Netflix trilogy. He was a difference maker. You know, he was able to kind of take the role of the Sentinels, and when the Autobots really needed him, he was there. This, of course, is Wei Jiang's Ultima Guard, but whether you have the Fans Toys 1, or the DX9's Gabriel, or the Siege Omega Supreme, or even the G1, or even the Unicron Trilogy one, or that Year of the Snake one. I don't know. Omega Supreme is lucky that he's had a number of different modes, a number of different looks. Animated is another one. A number of different modes, a number of different looks, but he's always a game changer. He can always move the needle, so to speak, and he is always the backup that the Autobots need, maybe among at least some of their darkest hours. Omega Supreme took the number 2 slot, and that only leaves 1. And here we are at number 1. And a lot of people said, well, number 1's a foregone conclusion. Obviously it wasn't. As a matter of fact, the race was so close, I didn't know who was going to take it. Little did I ever suspect that number 1 was going to be a tie. I kind of can't believe it's a tie, because honestly, I thought that one of these characters would wildly win, and they didn't. Number 1, the tie, is first, as many people suspected, Optimus Prime. I mean, just like Ultra Magnus is like last supreme, last hugest, last, best, whatever. Optimus Prime, I mean, optimal, Optimus, ideal, right? Prime meaning 1, ideal 1, right? He's the ideal one. He's the leader. I get it. How can you have a name that is literally like the ideal and then first and not have it be one of the best names in Transformers? But tied with him is Starscream. As a number of voters pointed out, have you ever heard a star actually scream? No? Can you imagine how much that would quake and shake the entire galaxy if a star screamed? When you stop and think about it, that sounds like nothing good could ever come of it. Optimus Prime and Starscream. 1, the ultimate in heroics and being a hero and a leader. The other, probably the ultimate in being a deceptive, cowardly bad guy, but one that at the same time is always a threat, especially when he's backed in a corner. Optimus Prime, Starscream, take your pick. Either one, both, according to the voters, are the absolute best names in Transformers, and they equally took the number 1 slot. And there you have it. We've gone from 10 down to 1 once again, but so many other names had votes that are excellent names. Onslaught, Cyclonus, Sideswipe, Acid Storm, Shrapnel, Bombshell, Tickback, I assume that was supposed to be Kickback. Octopunch, man, I was hoping Octopunch was going to get on. I love that name myself. Quick Strike, Pterosaur, Hatchet, Ratchet, Hook from the something. Constructicons, pardon me. Sea Spray, Tiger Hawk, Fire Guts, God Ginrai, Blackout, Turn, Tap Out, Bone Crusher, Rodimus, Skull Cruncher, Skywarp. Starscream wife, ironically, actually voted for Skywarp herself. Who else do we have here? Lockdown, Rhinox, Pyramagna, Clawjaw, I don't even remember, Barricade, and last but not least, one that I actually used to call my cat Mo for many years, especially when it was being a little bit of a nuisance, Ravage. Ravage, man. There you go. Them and so many more. It was a fun round of voting. It was a fun round of names. I hope your favorites made the list. Let me know if they did. I appreciate you guys coming by and giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring. Or, of course, you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Stick around, man. Have some fun with us here on the channel. And especially don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single day, man, you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams, man, on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.